What is up, Sooner Nation? Happy Wednesday. Surgeaholics, as they say. My name is Brad. I'm a Surgeaholic. We've got the Surgeaholics on here tonight. It's Wednesday and long day. Hope everybody's doing good. Cold day here. How's everything going there, Jeremy?
Long day here as well, Jay. It's just walked in the house.
Nice.
Left this morning at 6 a.m. Walked in the house at 9:29 or so.
Hey, Monty says, who's doing the pictures and front page on this podcast? Great work and need to be recognized. Hunter does all the graphics and everything for that. So kudos to Hunter. Legit. And you see the graphic for today. I don't know if anybody has seen that article, read it about the maybe what's going to happen down the road in college football, Jeremy. But I think something's got to happen probably a few years down the road. We'll see what it is, though, right?
Yeah, and hey, I didn't make excuses. Someone said excuses. I'm not making excuses. I just giving you facts. Walked in at 9:29. It's as quick as I could get on here, guys. Thanks for being on here. Yeah, look, there's just so much. If you read the article, I skimmed through it and read through it, but I don't know how many years we're away from that. For one, I like the idea of the 10-team conferences or the 10-team Super League conferences, but I also want to enjoy the time in the SEC since that hasn't even begun yet. So it's kind of like one of those, the scale is even there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, the SEC is what I'm pumped for right now. Whatever happens 2-3 years from now, I don't even want to talk about it right now. Like as a fan, because I'm super pumped for what OU is getting ready to enter, and that's the SEC. Now something's got to happen because we all know that the Big Ten and the SEC have already talked about maybe doing something on them with the for themselves or whatever it may be with the Super Conference. You got the ACC, the Big 12. Something's got to happen. And I look at it, it's funny because you got this going on, and this is kind of off subject, but Liv and PGA are trying to come to something because, listen, it's about money and it's about fans, okay? And that's money number one. Money's the number one driver of anything right now, okay? And then the fans. And NIL is involved with all that too. So I don't know what's going to happen in a few years, but there definitely, in my opinion, there definitely will be super conferences. I say in 5 years or less.
Well, they also, in that article, it talked about NIL being like how the school's going to have some power in that, which that's weird to kind of think about. I don't know how I feel about that. The other thing is when you started talking about money, Jay, that they've still got to reach out and figure out the networks and who's going to pick this Super League up. And so there's that. There's going to be some bidding for that. I think money will be the driving factor for a lot of it. Now, I tell you, should be really excited are some of those teams that aren't in the top 70. They're going to have a chance to get a national title in their own level, I guess you could say. And they would have the ability to move up to a tier, but no one would ever move down to it, to the next tier below them.
Yeah. Teresa says Sweet Jackets. Yes, they are from the fans. Jerem, show us the April shirt. Guys, if you're subscribed to the Shirt of the Month Club, it's legit.
April shirt right here, Boomer, license plate. It's pretty legit.
If you're not signed up, listen, if you're not signed up for the Shirt of the Month Club, go sign up, fanstop.com. You use code SURGE, you'll get 10% off your first 3 months. I've already seen the May shirt. It's sweet looking too. So it's awesome. It comes to your doorstep. It's great.
I saw a guy at a soccer game this last weekend. He had the March St. Patty Day's OU shirt, and I said, hey, Fanstop? He said, absolutely, the best.
Hey, Mez says 80-team Super League is a dumb idea.
It's a 70-team.
But what is dumb? To have power super conferences, Mez? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, there's still a lot to be
80
I thought it was 70. I thought it was 70. Notre Dame entered the 70. Sorry, I didn't.
And I like what OU's getting into in the way it is now. I like it. But I just think something's going to happen. There's too much. I think I don't know what it is, but with there's going to be something with the power conferences, and they're going to put some super conferences together, I think.
Yeah.
They're the 70 plus 10 that change every year.
So it's 80 teams, but it's pretty much, I mean, those 10 that change every year are those that are coming from the other tier. So
Brian says, you mean Vanderbilt can never go down no matter how bad they suck?
I have not looked at all the nuances, Jay. I've already said that. I mean, yeah, this is only for football. It's only for football. That's it.
Football only. Correct. Yeah. Correct.
And it is going to be money. I have not
had a bundt cake lately, Lori. I made a bundt cake, but I have not had a one from nothing bundt cake since that last time. I don't eat it that often.
Money will drive this whole thing, Jay.
It always does, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Money talks. Money talks.
Absolutely.
That's right. Hey, you got a big softball weekend coming up, OU Texas. Let's hope for a sweep there. You got a big visiting weekend for Oklahoma. In the next few weeks, now that the dead period's kind of over, you got Trent Wilson setting up his commitment date, April 10th. That kind of came out of nowhere. That bodes well for Oklahoma, I think, with all the crystal balls that have been happening. Only a 4-star defensive lineman. I'll take that any day of the week. April 10th on that date, I believe, Hunter. So you will start seeing recruiting ramp up because and you saw the news today. You saw the commitment from Landon Rink to Texas A&M, which is, I don't want to say baffling, but Texas legacy, and he ends up going to A&M. I don't know, man. Do you think he ends up at A&M for good, or do you think he's just committed there for now?
It's all. I mean, that's all speculation, Jay. I don't know what's going through this guy's head. I look, as far as Trent Wilson, Jay. I mean, you could say, yeah, he's a tweener, a guy who could maybe move inside, be an edge, whatever you wanted to say. But honestly, I think it's too early to tell.
Hey, and let me say this. Both of them are committing on the 10th. Hey, Mess asked, will Rink stick with Aggies? I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'll say this. Texas and Texas A&M absolutely despise each other, okay? If you're wanting more NIL money, I'm just saying this as an example. I'm not saying this is happening, but if you were a Texas legacy and you're wanting to really kind of get more NIL money from Texas, where are you going to go commit to? Probably team like A&M. That's just going to, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. Please don't say, I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying if I were a player wanting to get more, I would go to a team that is hated by another team. Does that make sense?
Correct. And yeah, the Ollie Gordon was April Fool's. Okay. It's not a deal. Chad Gamble, appreciate it. Appreciate you on this super here tonight. Thanks for being a part of the Sooner Surge Double Trouble and for donating a super. We do really appreciate that. Who's going to start in his place?
Bates has to be.
Well, you would think it's going to be Bates, but obviously, look, you know how high I've been on Bates, okay? I'm not going to sit here and iron this out again and tell you why I'm so high on Bates. Garrett Hatchett is someone who can move there. That has been mentioned. Now, Landon Hatchett, the brother, who's at UW, he's not at OU, everyone. Everyone wants to say he's coming here. I'll believe it when I see it, okay? He's the one that played center. Josh Isosa has been taking some snaps there. But Everett, according to the reports, is likely to miss a lot of fall camp too.
Topher says got a big transfer visitor coming in for the spring game. Any news on new commitments? I would just think Hawkins and Trent Wilson on the 10th. I think both those will be Oklahoma Sooners.
Hey Jay, have you heard anything on Bates struggling? Because I haven't.
No, who said he's struggling? Here's my thing though.
Kyla said we have been hearing Bates is struggling. I haven't heard that.
No, I personally have been saying he's just so young is all I've said. I haven't said he's struggling. I said he's very young. And I think you could take it as if Everett was beating him out, then maybe he was struggling because I don't think Everett's all world. You know what I mean? So, but Bill
Well,
Beanabo does tend to usually go with experience a lot of times. So maybe that could have been the Everett thing. I don't know. I don't see any chance Everett comes back missing all of summer, all of fall, and goes in there and starts. There's no chance, in my opinion. It's going to be Bates. I don't care
yeah.
who they got, unless they get a guy out of the portal that's played a lot of center. I think Bates will be your guy.
Yeah, and hey, has Fabechi ever played center?
I think he played like 1 or 2 games, but I don't think it worked out very good because they went back over to guard and they were just dominating. He was dominating. So I don't think you want to mess with Fabechi. He's too good at guard, man.
Yeah,
And really, this offensive line, as much as we can talk about, we don't know how they're going to be. I think the 2 guards, if it was Ozida and Fabechi, I'd be really okay with it. I think that's really good players right
now,
there.
This was the guy, Branson Hickman was the guy who was mentioned. What he basically said he was portaling at the beginning of this last semester? Correct?
Yeah, very recent portal guy.
No, it wasn't recent. It was like January 28th or something. It was super early in the semester, which I found really, really odd.
Mess says Parker Brailsford is rumored to be leaving Alabama. Here's the thing, guys. And
that'd be massive.
This is where I don't know how you balance it as a staff. I really don't know how you do this. I think this is probably, if you were to ask coaches right now, this is probably one of the hardest parts of their job. Not just the portal, but kind of weighing on when do you go after a guy and when do you hold out to see who's out there. That's why I think, personally, there's got to be a lot of, quote, tampering, maybe not tampering, but you got to be filling guys out. I mean, to me, how else are you going to – there's got to be fillers out for certain players, does there not?
Has to be, but how are you going to police it?
I'm not saying OU. I'm saying in general. I mean, otherwise you're guessing. You're like, okay, we go now, and if somebody shows up later, I mean.
Yeah, Brian says this team needs the interior guards to help.
I think that's the strength of the line this year.
Jay, I don't think Tarquin's going to be starting.
I don't either.
Someone said Tarquin starting. I don't see that. And Blake, I do disagree. I do disagree with Blake when it said basically just play the young guys and go for the championship in 26. Not the right mindset. You play who's giving you the best chance to win this year. Now, if it's between an older guy and a true freshman, or a young guy, a redshirt freshman, and they're identical or they're exactly the same as far as talent level, and they're picking up on the system the same, well, at that point, you go with the young one.
Yeah, and Bobby says Sexton has been the leader of the line all offseason. I'll say this, Bobby. I agree with that. I think Fabechi and Sexton right now have got to be the 2 best linemen out of the 5. Those guys have to be the best right now on paper, right?
I mean, you would think that. I'm high on Garen Hatchett, Jay. And mainly I think it's because of the experience.
Where's he going to play?
The experience in big-time games.
It
sounds like he's a guy they may try to move some. I don't know, Jay. I would think guard.
You think he beats out Ozida?
Well, that's the question, Jay.
Hey, Bobby, that is probably true until a guy by the name of EPL gets on campus. Man, if he could have enrolled early, I would have loved it.
It would have been massive.
I mean, I think he's going to be unbelievable.
Actually, Chuck, let me explain what I just said. I'll say it for you again, Chuck. If you have 2 guys who are the same talent level, okay, and they're pretty much going to be the same on the field, you play the young guy. So, in my opinion, Jackson Arnold actually had more talent. Dylan Gabriel had more experience. Even out, go with the young guy. That's what I said. So I'm not going to backtrack on what I said. And I think someone else said that too, Sooner fan.
Easy Street says BV said Bates is one of the toughest guys out there. I heard that from BV, and there's no doubt in my mind. I've heard that since he got on campus. He's a tough guy. That's not it for me. It's not. It has nothing to do with toughness or anything. My whole thing about Bates is the experience factor as a center. That's it. I think he could be really good. And yeah, maybe you play him and start him because it gives him experience. But all I'm saying is, as a center walking into the SEC, I think it's hard to expect greatness from basically a guy that's never played a meaningful snap, right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Chuck, I did say the best chance to win. I think the best chance to win. I'm just gonna say, look, you guys already know what I've said before. I think Jackson Arnold gives you the best chance to win, even last year. Okay, I'm not gonna get on here and yell about DG again.
Keaton says, I think you add a center if it's someone who has good experience, add a defensive lineman. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yes, you do. You do add an experienced center if there's one. You don't just go out there and add a center just because you feel like you have to. You find the right one, and if there's not one, they got what they got. I do think Garen Hatchett can move there. I think that was Jay's garage door. Okay. Dalpois 83. Yeah, I don't have to give my thoughts because everybody that's ever been on the Sooner Surge knows that. And everyone wants to say Michael Hawkins is lighting up and playing well. That is the word. That's the word on the street. That is correct. However, we'll have to see. That usually means they're not going to, I don't want to say that, but there's been a lot in years past where they're really, really, really talking about someone and then not much happens. And if that's the case, if he is playing this awesome, then maybe Casey Thompson's not going to be the backup.
I think the backup will be Michael Hawkins. Personally.
We know you do, Jay. You say it all the time.
Okay, and that's fine. Nope, I think that's great. Are you for playing the best player if it's Hawkins, Jeremy?
Jay, I just said, again, let me go for the third time tonight. If it's the same talent-wise and they picked up everything and they seem to be progressing, you go with the younger guy, yes. And I have said Casey Thompson would be the backup, Jay. I have said that. That's because I don't know what's going to happen in a game situation with Michael Hawkins yet.
I don't care. What do you mean game situation? What are you talking about? If that's the case, Troy Everett needs to start it with Josh Bates hands down because of experience. If that's what you're saying.
What? No, I'm saying when he gets in a game, I don't know what he's going to do. If he goes in there,
like any guy that's not played.
What?
Just like anybody that hasn't played downs, right? You don't know what they're going to do. What you're saying is Casey Thompson, he's played. So you know what he can do. You don't know what Michael Hawkins can do in a game situation. Is that not what you're saying?
Yes, and I don't know if someone were to go down, if Jackson Arnold were to go down in the second game of the year, I don't know if just because Michael Hawkins has looked elite in spring ball, thinks that he's going to be the starter at that point. I'm just not sold on that yet, Jay.
Yeah, I'm just not sold on, Casey Thompson going out there and winning games for you either. Troy Everett blew out his knee. Correct, Mess. Yeah, you're right.
Like, I'm so confused on it.
I don't think this is about first or second team defense that they're going against. I think it's about the liveliness of his arm and everything else, his talent-wise. That's what this is about.
Oh, I know the guy's uber talented, yes. There's a lot of people who make it sound like he may push Jackson Arnold.
I hope he does push him.
No, as far as being the starter here.
I hope he does push. I think that's what makes you great. That's what makes players better. That's right,
yes,
Easy Street. Hawkins doing well is good for Arnold. Correct. That's right.
Agree with that.
That's what you want. So if Hawkins outdoes Arnold in practice, you say start Hawkins, Jeremy?
No. What? No. You don't base things on one practice, Dalpois. Jackson Arnold is QB1 until he goes to the league. Period.
Here's the deal. I think here's
come on, time out for a second. Listen, Michael Hawkins is uber talented. Michael Hawkins is looking better than people thought. Michael Hawkins is blowing people's minds. Yes. But come on, guys. I just think it's a little bit early until I want to see him in the spring game for one. See what he does. How am I contradicting myself? Explain how I'm contradicting myself, Eric.
I think about the comment about if he does better in practice, he should start younger talent, blah, blah, blah. I think that's where they're getting that information.
Jay, that's all hypothetical. Jackson Arnold hasn't shown that he's done bad in practice. Like, come on, guys.
Hey.
No one's going to do horrible in practice.
Chief, thanks so much for the super. At best chat comment so far in 2024, Tamper like a champion. I think it was, did Mark put that in there? Somebody put that in there. It was hilarious. I meant to read it. Tamper like a champion in the spring portal. Hey, the tampering set stuff, you're getting frustrated, Jeremy. I can see it. You're boiling.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
No, you're boiling over. What do you got to say?
Go, Jay. Keep going your temp.
No, I'm not, because you went like this. Just
I'll get to my point in a second. I want to hear the tampering.
I was just saying, when I brought it up earlier as how do you know when guys are going to end the portal and stuff, what I meant, not necessarily tampering because you're not trying to get them to leave, but I think a lot of teams are trying to fill out guys who may be leaving. Either that's talking with coaches. I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and Dalpois, you knew I wouldn't go against Arnold. And then I asked you if Hawkins was better, would you start him? You said if the guys were even, you start the younger. I was talking about Hawkins and Casey Thompson was the comparison.
But if Hawkins is better than Arnold,
and you're all younger. You're also, yeah, Jay, if Hawkins proves to be better than Arnold, then he should play over Arnold. Absolutely. But let's stop it, please, saying that I'm contradicting. You guys are taking things out of context. I'm comparing Hawkins and Casey Thompson. Old guy, young guy, talent-wise. Okay? That's what the comparison was. No one brought up Arnold into this. For one, Michael Hawkins is not better than Jackson Arnold right now. For one, no one has said Jackson Arnold has looked bad. So, and this is about over an extended period of time. This isn't a 2-week span. You have to base this on the entire spring camp.
Do you have your puka on tonight?
Always.
Hey, Tone Loke, who's your favorite OU kicker of all time? Mine might surprise people. I don't know. Mine's Garrett Hartley. Love Garrett Hartley. You got a favorite, Jeremy?
Tim Lasher, lefty. Tim Duncan, the lefty, and Tim Lasher. They're both great.
Hey, let me get to some trivia tonight.
Only Red Bull. Only Red Bull.
Hey, let me get some trivia, and you can kind of read these comments and address them how you will. But trivia for the night. We talked about it earlier. Fanstop. Awesome jackets. Jeremy's got the April shirt on. Go check them out. Fanstop.com. Use code SURGE. You'll get 10% off your first 3 months. Here we go. Trivia. Speaking of trivia, I see Gabe Burkick's name in the chat. He actually kind of goes along with this trivia question a little bit because he had the game-winning field goal against Baylor, that massive comeback game against Baylor. Everybody remembers that game. Darren Waco, Jalen Hurts. Here we go. All I want to know is what number was Nick Benito wearing that year on that interception to clinch the game? What number was he? You know it, Jeremy?
I didn't hear what you said, Jay.
What number was Nick Benito when he clinched the Baylor game with his interception?
Yes, I know that.
Looks like we got an answer. Brian right there, 35. That was before he had switched numbers. Number 35. Good job, Brian. Way to go. with the interception. He's playing linebacker those days before he moved up to the end. And Chief, I'm not highlighting comments to make him.
I'm actually hitting some comments, but hey, first off, I'm not going to sit here and argue. And Eric, if you think that Michael Hawkins is as good as Jackson Arnold, so be it. I don't right now. And I think just because a guy has 2 good weeks, and if that's the case, Jackson Arnold looked really good during practice last year. And I was calling for him last year. I have not contradicted myself. And maybe Hunter can find it. I don't know.
Let me say this.
I thought the comparison was Hawkins and Thompson. I never saw Hawkins versus Jackson Arnold.
Let me say this. I love the fact that Michael Hawkins looks really good. I love it. I love the fact that he probably will be the backup, a young quarterback. And if you look at his trajectory in the last 2 years, how much he's improved, I mean, it's unbelievable. I think his upside is huge. And his dad, he's got the DNA. And what I'll say is this. If you go back and remember, there was a guy by the name of Baker Mayfield that was running a scout team for Oklahoma and tearing it up, destroying people, shredding the defense. Do you remember that? And it was perfectly fine. He sat over there for a year playing scout team. And then look at the career he had. So doesn't hurt at all to sit the year. Go shred up on the defense at Oklahoma. That's fine. And just keep getting better and better. When it's his time, he's going to capitalize on it. I think that's what quarterbacks do. When you're really good, you keep getting better when you're practicing, and then when it's your time, you take over and you just transfer it to the field.
Hey, and first, guys, I'll be the first to say bench Arnold if he goes out there in 3 or 4 games and looks bad. I mean, it depends on how bad he looks. But also, you cannot talk about a small sample size of Jackson Arnold and then the same sentence talk about Michael Hawkins being elite, guys. He's playing in practice.
Hey, real quick, though, let me say this. I'm
just saying hold the horses a little.
Okay, but let me say this about if my son was a quarterback, a really good quarterback, say a 4 or 5 star, and he went to a school and he had to sit a year or 2, personally, I wouldn't be upset at all. And I would try to ingrain it in them that, you know what? All you have to do to make the NFL, you have one great year at quarterback, good year, you're going to get drafted. If you got the arm, if you got the size, whatever it may be, you don't need to have 3 to 4 years of playing time. You don't have to do that anymore. Go look at Oklahoma. Kyler Murray, how many years did he play, Jeremy?
Yeah.
1. Number 1 draft pick. 1. That's all it takes as a quarterback. Go out there, dominate your year, and you know, and that's how it works.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if Arnold doesn't pan out, I think that's a big issue for OU for the next 2 years. Just saying. And Casey Thompson's ready to go. I agree. I like the experience he brings. I don't think his arm strength is elite by any means. He would play because of experience. Talent-wise, yeah, he's not probably over Hawkins. But listen, I guess Jay, I guess the whole deal with Hawkins is I haven't seen much at all yet. Like
I've seen plenty.
There's already people commenting that.
Did you watch any of the playoffs last year?
What?
Did you watch any of his high school playoffs?
I did not much, Jay. I just said I haven't watched him much. Jay,
guys,
you talk about a Michael Hawkins package already? Like,
no, listen, but you know my opinion on packages. I'm not a fan of any package for any quarterback. I hate that personally. I hated it when they did Jackson Arnold last year. Jackson Arnold's not a running, like they ran him out there to run Wildcat. Hey, that's not him. I mean, that was stupid. That's another one of Jeff Lebby's dumb ideas is what that was.
Yeah, and again, I want to see Michael Hawkins against the ones in the spring game. I want to see what he does.
Brian, what are you talking about? That's what I said. If Michael Hawkins were to sit 2 years or so, that I was comparing it to that. That's what I'm saying. Yes, he was mature. He had set and he had developed. I think that's what I was saying, wasn't it? But maybe not.
Yeah, and again, the backup quarterback at OU may end up being very, very important this year. I just hope it's a non-factor.
Let's say this.
I hope it doesn't play any role.
I disagree with this comment right here. Iowa, appreciate you joining us as always. You always bring good comments, good quality stuff, and I like this comment. I just disagree with it because I think Hawkins is a guy that you don't listen. You do not sign with OU and going to transfer in 2 years if Arnold. You know Arnold's there, and you know he's really good player. So now I think it's made the best person win next year. Like if he's beating him out, whatever. But I don't think he's going there to. I think a lot of people think that now with players, if they don't get a start right away, they transfer. But I don't see it in this situation personally.
Again, depends on how much money's offered and where that's at. But it's way too early to even be talking about that. A year and a half? Was it a year and a half ago?
For what?
Casey Thompson's last start.
At least, yeah. You know, he's an elite runner, but also what he can do is he throws really well in the red.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, tell me, like, what is it about Hawkins that has stood out to most people? Arm strength? You mentioned the liveliness of his arm.
And I think his improvement in 2 years, it's unbelievable. I just think he's getting really, really good, really, really fast, I think. And if you go, his competitiveness, man, his IQ, quarterback IQ, I think is really good. Good. Just go pull up his playoff tape from last year. I mean, there were some ridiculous games end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, high school football is different.
I agree. But what else can you base it on right now, Jeremy?
You can't.
Okay.
All you can base it on is practices. That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
I agree with Jen, though. I still think Casey Thompson, if it came to a game situation, now I'm all for Mike Hawkins getting all the reps right now and doing that. But when it comes time to making a decision on backup, I guess we'll see. Anthony, I did not see this, but John Onchus, number 10 for OU, was one of my favorite all-time point guards. So good with the ball.
John Onchus. So good. That is, Anthony, that is awesome news. I love that. Don't even know why Casey Thompson came to you. It's like saying, here's the deal, Kyla. Casey Thompson's eventually going to be a coach. Okay. His dad played at OU. He loved OU. I think this is kind of like, hey, I've been to 3 other schools. Where do I want to go in my career? And maybe he can get into coaching right after at OU. I don't know,
Monty.
I mean, he's from the area, Kyla. He's from the area too. So
Monty, ideally you would have Arnold, Hawkins, Sperry. I mean, that's your next 6 years.
That's ideally how it works, but
and that's probably true as well. I haven't watched a lot of them. I haven't seen it. That's what I'm trying to ask. What has stood out so much about him? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
He made I don't remember which game it was last year. I was watching. I think it was the playoff game where
about this year. I'm talking about at spring ball. I'm not talking about high school, Jimmy.
Oh, I don't go to spring practice, Jeremy, so I wouldn't know.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not on any boards, so I wouldn't know what they're saying about him. I'm just telling you what I saw in high school. That's all.
I mean, there's been guy. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen enough either. So that's why I'm asking from you guys. We will have a quarterback contract by fall camp if it's up to Eicher. The hype needs to be and Iowa Sooner. That is all I've been saying. Is everyone needs to just chill out a tad bit. This dude may be.
Well, you know what today is.
It is Overhyped Wednesday. We didn't start with that, Jay.
It's Overhyped Wednesday, and
I'm not in the mood to overhype
this. I'm an OU fan, guys. You know that. That's why we do this show, right? But OU fans are, let's just face facts, spring, fall practice, a lot of overhype comes out of the OU side. I mean, how many years do we hear certain guys are going to be, oh my gosh, they're just unbelievable. And then you don't hear much. So, yes. Now, Hawkins is a guy that, yes, I think next year, the year after, yes, after Arnold's. But right now, this is Arnold's team. So I hope Hawkins just continues to develop. It sounds like he will.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying anyone. I'm not saying anyone doesn't know the game better than me. Yeah, I absolutely do. I'm not saying I know everything
What
at
about
all.
this
Not even
question?
close. I'm just curious about it. That's what I'm saying.
What about this question? If you were a big time T Boone type donor, what player would you target to tamper with for spring portal to help you?
It's a
Are you
great
saying
question, Chief
you want us to
T-Bird.
give you a name or a just position group?
Well, who would you go after, Jay? Any player in the country right now. Who'd you go get?
I'd probably go get the best center that's available.
Really? Out of everyone, I'd still go get the number one D tackle. Are you asking, could it be a senior? Could it be anyone? Now, Alan Woody's got
Caden Green.
Yeah, I'd love to have Caden Green right now.
What would you be?
But he's not there.
This is a fair question, OU fans. What would you be saying about the offensive line right now if Caden Green was still there? Would you be concerned about the O-line or not?
Not near as concerned, Jay.
Because of one guy?
I mean, he was the anchor of the line, Jay, for the next 3 years or whatever.
Hunter says Proctor, Caden Proctor. That's a good one. Offensive line. I'm with Eric. I'd still be concerned. It's just all young, and they haven't played much. That's why.
But it's not all young. It's just they haven't played much. It's not a young group. It's actually an old group that they got.
Well, they've been there a year or two. You're right, but
I'm talking. It's inexperienced, but it's not young. Favegi's old. Tarquin's older. There's guys that are old and that they've got. Garen Hatchett isn't young necessarily. It's just they're inexperienced.
Correct.
Okay. Jay, can you be concerned and optimistic?
Yeah, that's a fair. I think that kind of goes hand in hand. If you're concerned because of inexperience, you can also be optimistic because of inexperience, right?
I just thought you'd jump me if I said that.
Jump you?
Yeah, get mad at me. Go
Why
on.
would I get mad?
I had a comment up here. I don't know where it went. Mez says less concerned. Yeah, BB's not taking him back for sure. That's not what it was. But
look at that comparison. Mess, I'm kind of with you on that one.
Why'd you say young then?
The other one, Hatchett.
You said they were young, Jay.
No, what I'm saying, he's talking about equals of a Casey Thompson. Like, they're guys that have played a lot, but are they going to make a difference?
Oh, I just think Mez thinks that he's comparing them in their age. They're veterans.
No, I think Hatchett can make a difference. The other two, I'm not really. Kalen says,
I don't want Ollie Gordon anywhere near Norman.
He'd be hurt. He'd be acting like he's hurt.
I just don't like. He's an elite running back. He's really, really good. Didn't like what I saw all the time around him. Nate Erdman and Corey Brewer were so good. So good. Nate Erdman, number 22. Corey Brewer, 31. Oh, yeah. They're saying you're correct with if they're going to actually be able to play.
Yeah. Did you like those players better than Darian Selby?
Yeah, Darian Selby was great as far as energy, had no offense. Corey Brewer was a great offensive player. So was Nate Erdman. Jeff Webster was one of my favorites. We know Gordon was an April Fool's joke. Yeah, someone just brought him up as far as they'd like to have him here.
Yeah. Well, maybe, Mark. I'm just.
OU actually did okay against Ollie Gordon.
What's that?
OU actually contained him pretty good most of that game. Alan Bowman is who they didn't contain. Skeeter Henry. Number 30. Number 30, Skeeter Henry.
Yeah.
Love Skeeter.
That was
Jay,
they had some tough teams back in the 90s with guys like Renzi Stone.
You realize we're about 11 days from the spring portal opening.
Yeah, that's right. 11 days. Who's it going to be, Jeremy?
I think the SMU center is a possibility.
Well, Topher mentioned it earlier about him visiting, maybe coming up. So
I think there is very, very. I just get good vibes with Hickman from SMU.
yeah, I saw the Jeff Webster. Do you remember Angelo Hamilton in the Duke game?
Oh, Cameron Indoor just
Hey, you know who
went
one of
off.
my favorite players at OU was? And you talk about a dog. And
I already know who it is.
If anybody remembers the game in Stillwater, basically Kelvin Simpson said win the game for it. Nolan Johnson. Nolan Johnson, left-hander number 5, was flat out.
Hey, you know who else, Jay?
Yeah.
You know who else could just break anyone down off the dribble? You couldn't stop him.
Who's that?
Had about a 40-point game in Boulder one night. Jason Dietrich.
Oh, Dietrich's pretty good. Remember Raymond?
Oh, J.R. Raymond was great.
Yeah. Landon Hatchett and Parker Brailsford. Out of those two, Parker Brailsford, I think, would be.
I don't think it's going to be an and. It would be one.
Well, I mean, yeah, probably.
Same position.
Yeah, but Hatchett, he's injured right now. I mean, so.
And, yeah, I mean, Jay, if that's the position, look, Hickman, how many years has Hickman started? 3?
Who?
The SMU guy.
Something like that. I'm not sure.
I'd have to look up his stats. Maybe Hunter can.
Yeah, Parker could play guard, but here's what I'll say on offense.
I don't see him going to OU from Bama, Jay.
We'll see.
Landon Hatchett, at least there's a connection. I'm not sure they're going to get someone like Parker Brailsford.
You know what? You know what's crazy is the same people that weren't big fans of Andrew Rain would give anything to have Andrew Rain back this year.
Absolutely, Jay. He was really, really
good. There was a lot of people that just didn't think he was that good. But I think we will. And Tyler, Bates is not a question mark as in talent-wise or anything.
I love Bates.
I think the only question mark on Bates is just he hasn't played, so nobody has seen him, okay? To me, that's a fair question mark. If you've never seen a guy play, right, then you can have question marks about it. That doesn't mean he's going to be bad. That doesn't mean he's going to be great. Nobody knows is what that means. A question mark. What does a question mark mean in the grammar, Jeremy? It means it's a question. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows.
Unless it's a rhetorical question and everyone knows.
I know he wasn't great 405 boy, but he was pretty good.
He was better. Hey, Andrew Rain was better than okay.
Yeah, I agree. He's going to be drafted.
He was better than okay. Like maybe he wasn't great, but he was better than okay.
Don't you think he's going to get drafted late?
Yes, he's probably going to be a 6th-round pick. I actually have a source that said he injured a little bit, got tight on a hamstring, but thinks he'll be drafted in the 5th or 6th. But
people are saying his numbers were horrid. They don't think he'll be drafted. But I think that was due to injury, was it not?
What was he bad at in 2023? I thought last year was his best year snapping the ball. I thought he was pretty good overall.
I think he was better last year, I thought, but
that's what I thought.
I mean, listen to Gabe Ikard. Gabe Ikard said he was a lot better last year.
Chief T-Bird is. These are asking some great questions. We'll end it with this one. Drop it in the chat. What player do you wish would have lived up to his full potential in the last 5 years? Any position.
Boy, that's a tough question. Any position.
Golly.
I'd have to go back probably to it would have to be the year 5 years back would be, what year would that be? 2020. It would have to be like when I think about it, Jaden Hazelwood, something like that. I think
I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball.
I think Jaden Hazelwood could have been unbelievable.
Bookie's got to be up there because everyone had such high hopes for Bookie, for Brennan Radley Hiles, and it just didn't pan out. I, for one, would want something on the defensive side, and maybe it's one of those D linemen that they've had. I thought Harrison Winfrey did live up to his hype. Actually, he was really good.
Give us a name.
Well, I'm trying to think through some of the D tackles they had. I already said Bradley. Mikey Henderson would have lived up to his hype. He just wasn't around to live up to his hype.
I'll tell you another one.
DG didn't have a lot of hype.
Hey, here's another name for you. Savion Byrd.
There's one.
Savion
Bray
Byrd.
Walker. Bray Walker had tons of hype.
Yeah, Savion Byrd. Clayton Smith would have been another one, but
Trayon Bridges.
Well, that's all other stuff related, so I can't.
Hey, before we get off your mess, if you recall that whole Kansas game, after the game, DG would not even talk to the media and couldn't really give an answer. Andrew Rame, if you remember the post game of that game, Andrew Rame said, this is what he said. He can't explain it. I don't know what's going on. It was a weird vibe post Kansas. There was something strange happening. I wish I could be a fly on the wall and see what it was that happened.
Well, I think there's a lot of weird stuff last year with Jeff Levy, personally, and that's a topic for another day. But I think a lot of things were confusing to people. That Kansas game, there were two games last year that just literally I wanted to just throw up, and I was ticked, and I was disappointed, and I was baffled by what I watched. Kansas being one of them when you make 9 pass attempts. Kansas. And the other one, SMU. Horrible play calling. If you
OSU, though. OSU, too.
So.
Yeah, please hit the like. Sooner Surge viewers, thanks for being on here. Appreciate you all. As always, Surgeaholics. Again, please check out the Fan Stop. It's where we got these jackets and the shirt of the month right here. Looking good. Fanstop.com. Use code SURGE for 10% off your first 3 months. We'll be doing this again tomorrow night, Jay.
Hey, one more day closer to football.
That's correct. See y'all tomorrow. Boomer.
Sooner.